Dylan, how could you? You kicked out your wife and kid to do this with me in broad daylight.
I don't see Emily as a woman. She's just the maid. But I'm kind, so I sometimes give the maid a day off.
Dylan gifted me a trip to a spa in Palm Springs. Right after he saw me and Ariel off with a smile, he was intertwined in a compromising position with his mistress. And in our very own bedroom, no less. A voice came from the front door. "Mom, are you still here?" Panicking, Dylan and his companion scrambled from one end of the room to the other before darting out onto the balcony. Ariel's expression when she arrived was chillingly knowing. "Making such a racket. Did you see a nasty bug or something?" "A bug, or something like it." "Ew, that's gross." "Exactly. Gotta deal with it properly." Keeping my composure, I locked the balcony door with a loud click. Beyond the lace curtains, a silhouette cowered. "Mom, I really hate bugs." "No mercy for bugs, right?" Nodding deeply, I dialed a number. "My name is Emily Johnson, 47 years old. I got married 12 years ago. I met my husband, Dylan, at the office. He was hired mid-career, and I was assigned as his mentor. We quickly became friends. Not only was Dylan diligent in his work, but he also had a warm personality. He could easily get along with anyone, making him a favorite in the office in no time. The female employees loved him, and the male employees trusted him. "Hey, Dylan. Seriously, you don't have a girlfriend? Then let's go out for drinks." A younger female colleague teased him. Trying to hide my jealousy, I realized I had already fallen for the popular Dylan. But I couldn't even casually ask him out for lunch. I thought I'd keep these feelings a secret. However, out of the blue, Dylan approached me. "You know, I've fallen for you, Emily. Your modesty and the careful attention you give to things. It's wonderful." Next thing I knew, we were headed towards marriage. After our wedding, I decided to retire from my job. I wanted to continue working, but Dylan strongly wished for me to be a stay-at-home wife. Given our age, he also wanted kids soon. That's why, soon after I left work, I was shocked by his words. "Just living off my money and lazing around, huh? You're worthless." I soon discovered that Dylan was only kind on the outside. Especially about my being a homemaker. I told him I wanted to return to work. But he wouldn't allow it. "Think you can handle both housework and a job? Don't embarrass me by showing everyone how useless you are. Just stay home and know your place." I couldn't believe this was the same Dylan I had known. Many of our colleagues lived in our apartment building, which wasn't company housing but was conveniently located near our workplace. Whenever Dylan met a colleague in the apartment building, he would greet them with a friendly smile. Sometimes he'd even casually put his arm around my shoulder. I'd stiffen up in surprise, but people thought we were just a sweet couple. I once vaguely discussed my husband's behavior with an old colleague. "Dylan's kinda rude at home? A complete opposite of how he is outside. That's kinda cute in a weird way." I still find it hard to accept reality. There's no way my former colleague, who only knows Dylan's facade, would doubt him. But you know, I just can't picture Dylan acting all high and mighty. Maybe Emily's just overthinking it? Moreover, Dylan is trusted more by society than I am. They just brushed it off as my being overly sensitive. My parents reacted the same way. Emily's always been the worrying type. Maybe kind-hearted Dylan's just tired from being considerate to everyone outside. Emily, you gotta support him. It felt like they were implying that I was in the wrong. The more I spoke ill of Dylan, the more I feared I would become the villain. Even though I felt uncomfortable at home, I became pregnant and gave birth. The birth of our daughter, Ariel, brought a significant change to our relationship. Dylan absolutely adores Ariel. Thankfully, he stopped nagging me in front of her. When Ariel's asleep, he still goes, "Did you nap again today? You sure have a lot of free time." But it's less frequent. Ever since Ariel was a baby, Dylan would eagerly take her out and show her off to the entire neighborhood. The neighbors always praise him as a good dad.
What? Me, a good dad? Nah, I'm just average. Playing with my daughter makes all the work stress go away. Besides, I gotta give my wife some alone time too. Nah, I'm no super dad, that's for sure.
Dylan, always playing with Ariel in the park in front of our apartment complex, not only earned the title of a good husband but also of a wonderful father. But the truth is, he goes out drinking every night and comes home late. At home, he's always on his phone and ignores Ariel. To top it off, sometimes he stays out overnight, saying, "I'm exhausted from work and parenting. I need a break." He sure knows how to put on a show. What a sneaky man. Moreover, he frequently buys things to get Ariel's attention.
Daddy's nice, right? Can you say thank you to Daddy? Thank you, Daddy. Do you love Daddy? I love you so much.
I understand that he wants to see Ariel smile. But he's just baiting her with things. Once he's satisfied with that, he won't pay attention to Ariel anymore. When Ariel was younger, she genuinely enjoyed his gifts. But gradually, she became confused by Dylan's fluctuating attitude, sometimes being very kind and other times being distant. Now that she's in 4th grade, she shows happiness when she gets something, but she doesn't initiate any interaction with Dylan. One day, I received a call from one of Ariel's friends' moms. She is Kate, a former colleague of mine. Although we didn't interact much at work, our kids happened to be in the same grade, and we live in the same apartment complex, so we became close. When I answered the call, Kate's shouting pierced my ears.
Your daughter stole my daughter's video game.
Apparently, Ariel had gone over to Kate's house after school and had supposedly stolen a video game.
What kind of parenting are you doing? She's twisted.
I trembled at her one-sided tirade. I promised to come over to her house after talking to Ariel and somehow ended the call.
I didn't steal anything.
Ariel pleaded, tears in her eyes. I know. Mom believes in you. After hearing Ariel's side of the story, I began to think that maybe Kate had just misunderstood. Just then, Dylan came home, out of breath.
That thief!
Dylan punched the wall with all his might. His fist sank into it. I hurriedly embraced a frozen Ariel.
Stop it, Dylan, just listen. It's your fault, raising Ariel to be like a thief.
Kate, who currently works with Dylan, must have contacted him too. Dylan forcefully pushed me away. Grabbing Ariel's arm, he dragged her to Kate's house.
I'm so sorry.
Dylan's voice echoed in the apartment hallway. Rushing over, Ariel was being forced to kneel on the ground and apologize. Kate's husband rushed to help Ariel up, and he also began to apologize. Kate said in a monotone voice, "I'm sorry. Seems like there was a misunderstanding. Turns out Ariel wasn't a thief after all. Kate's kid had accidentally broken a video game out of carelessness and, not wanting to get in trouble with the parents, lied about it being stolen." Kate scratched her chin, looking embarrassed. Her husband kept apologizing. Dylan laughed gently. "Everyone makes mistakes. Don't worry about it." As I was about to speak, Dylan twisted my finger from behind. Though he only showed his parental side when it was convenient, I believed that Dylan loved Ariel. But now, I realized he cared more about his reputation than his beloved daughter. When we got home, Dylan gave a faint smile and apologized to both me and Ariel. "Sorry about that. I got really rattled. Kate called and she was super mad." "Wait, Kate? Oh, we work in the same department now and she's been good to me. So, you know, having our kids squabble affect our work is just not cool, right? You gotta understand where I'm coming from." In the end, it was all about him. My anger surged, causing pain in the back that I had hurt earlier. My face twisted in pain. It's okay. With that, Ariel retreated to her room.
Heh, Ariel is so mature. Way more than you, Emily, always looking upset.
Feeling vindicated by Ariel's forgiveness, Dylan casually started drinking a beer. The next night, Dylan came home early. It seemed like he genuinely felt remorse.
You're not mad anymore? Look, I got you something.
He showed me his smartphone, and it was a reservation screen for a hot spring inn. As an apology, I booked it for this weekend, just for you two. It was an inn located about an hour from home in a spa town. Even though it's close by, it's a luxury and we've never visited on a family trip. Amazingly, there's even an open-air bath in the room. Ariel and I exchanged glances and smiled. How many years has it been since our last vacation? Family-friendly hotels and amusement parks were never Dylan's cup of tea. Traveling with kids is so boring. Why do I have to entertain them all the time? Due to the constant unpleasant atmosphere during supposed-to-be fun trips, the event of vacationing vanished from our household after a while. Now that Ariel has grown up, she should enjoy relaxing at spa resorts. Then, on the day of the trip, Dylan, with a big smile, waved us off from the doorway.
Don't worry about me, just go have fun with your girl time.
Ariel and I happily headed towards the train station. Thinking of grabbing a coffee at the station, I suddenly realized. Oh no, I left my wallet.
Oh, Mom.
Sorry. At least I noticed before we left.
True.
Holding our slightly heavy bags, we hurried back the way we came. Ariel sat down on a bench in front of our apartment, saying, I'm exhausted. I took the elevator up to our apartment alone. As I tried to take off my shoes at the entrance, something felt off. Whose shoes are these? There were a pair of women's shoes haphazardly kicked off. Holding my breath, I could hear Dylan's voice from the bedroom.
I gifted her a spa trip, and she easily got in a good mood. Such a simple woman.
Then, a woman's laughter echoed.
Dylan, you're so bad. Sending off your wife and daughter just so you can have fun with me in broad daylight?
No doubt about it, that voice belonged to Kate. Even though it wasn't hot, I felt an uncomfortable sweat. I don't even see Emily as a woman. She's just a housemaid. But, being the kind guy I am, I sometimes give my maid a day off.
Kind? Who says? It's so unfair that I gave up the spa resort I was supposed to go to, with you.
You know what, Kate? Because of you, Emily was super mad at me. I felt guilty about staying out overnight and didn't want to pay the cancellation fee for the resort. So, using the trip to appease my maid seemed like a smart move. Not only am I kind, but I'm also clever. I quietly approached the bedroom. Peeking through the slightly open door, I saw Dylan and Kate intertwined in an indecent manner. My vision began to blur. Sadness? Anger? I couldn't quite understand the emotions bubbling within me. Just staring at the entangled figures, I muttered under my breath. Disgusting. Hearing my voice, the playful actions of Dylan and Kate came to a halt. In that sudden silence, the sound of the front door opening rang out.
Mom, what's taking so long?
Dylan and Kate panicked. Looking around for an escape, but with my shadow at the door, they had nowhere to go. Ariel's footsteps got closer. Both of them rushed from one end of the room to the other and finally bolted to the balcony. Despite the lack of an outdoor hot tub, they stood exposed in all their glory. Ariel, who had just entered, looked stern. What's all the fuss? Did you see a nasty bug or something? Something like a bug, yeah. Ew, that's gross. Right. We need to deal with it properly. There I was, oddly calm. Avoiding the discarded clothes on the floor, I advanced into the room and locked the balcony door with a loud click. Two silhouettes crouched behind the lace curtains.
Mom, I really hate bugs.
Ariel stared at me intensely. I had thought I was alone. But there was Ariel, right beside me, showing unwavering trust. We shouldn't show any mercy to bugs, should we? As I nodded deeply, I made a phone call. After a while, I unlocked the balcony door. A cool and refreshing breeze flowed in from the wide-open window. It's a pleasant season, perfect for going out.
It's so cold.
A naked couple tumbled into the room, blue from the cold. With her cheeks burning from cold and embarrassment, Kate dove straight into the bed. Pushing Kate aside, Dylan also wrapped himself in the blanket.
Emily, do you even realize what you've done?
Dylan's eyes were filled with rage as he bellowed with a deep, angry voice. And what about you, Dylan? Why aren't you dressed? Startled, Dylan pulled the blanket up to cover his mouth. Seems like his anger from being locked out on the balcony had burst out, but I really want to know what he and Kate were doing in this room to begin with. What were you two doing? When I asked again, Dylan clicked his tongue in annoyance.
Geez, lay off. You saw, right? We were just play wrestling.
Dylan joked, making Kate burst out laughing.
Yeah, we're wrestling buddies, you know? Oh? Did you, Emily, imagine something else? Oh my, for someone so plain, you have a wild imagination, huh? How embarrassing.
Despite being caught in a situation they couldn't deny, they seemed quite amused. To them, I was nothing more than a lowly presence. I knew this would happen, that's why Ariel wasn't here. To them, I'm just a nobody, nothing to fear. Don't play games. You were cheating, weren't you? I uttered in a low voice. Both of their laughter came to an abrupt halt. With a dismissive tone, Dylan said, So what? I was at a loss for words. Just as I tried to speak up, Dylan beat me to it. Yeah, I cheated. So what? Is that wrong? It's not my fault you, Emily, lack any charm as a woman. Don't act all high and mighty. I've never once had romantic feelings for you. You're just like a housekeeper I hired. I already knew the love was gone. But having it said outright hurt deeply. Seeing I wasn't replying, Dylan confidently continued. Thanks to me working and bringing in the money, you and Ariel can live. Your futures depend on me. You know what happens when you go against me, right? I kept my head down, not responding. Slowly, I lifted my head to see Dylan with a gentle smile, the kind he shows to others.
It's all right. I'm kind, and I won't abandon you, Emily, or Ariel. You're a perfect, modest housewife, and I'll keep you by my side.
The thought of continuing to live with Dylan sent chills down my spine.
That's enough!
Before I could say more, a voice from behind rose loudly. The room's door flew open, and my mother stormed in with determination.
Oh, Emily's mom?
Both Dylan and Kate clutched their blankets. Following my mother, my father also walked in.
Oh, and Emily's dad too? What's going on?
Dylan, clearly panicked, was told by me. I called them.
Why? This is an ambush. That's low.
Dylan murmured, cowering into the blanket. Wanting a face-to-face conversation, I handed them bath towels. Finally, after coming out from under the blankets, we sat them down in front of my parents and me. Dylan's face was pale, and Kate was fixing her towel's hem with a displeased look.
Dylan, I always thought you were a wonderful husband. To think you've been belittling Emily at home.
My mother said, sobbing.
I misjudged you, Dylan. You're like a person with two faces.
My father added, giving him a sharp look.
I'm so sorry. I never wanted to cheat. But Emily was so into Ariel, and she never paid attention to me, so I felt lonely. So, on a whim.
Dylan, still clinging to his good guy facade, makes excuses one after the other. My father glares daggers at Dylan.
It's Emily's fault for not paying attention to you, you say? No, that's not what I meant.
Dylan, avoiding eye contact, suddenly pointed a finger at Kate.
But she kept coming on to me, she was so persistent, and I just couldn't say no, so.
Willing to throw even his beloved girlfriend under the bus just to protect himself. Clearly, the one he loves most is himself.
Excuse me? You're the one who came on to me.
An infuriated Kate said, while Dylan whispered to her.
Just go along with the story for now.
But it seems Kate values herself the most, just like Dylan. The truth is, Dylan was the one who approached me. He kept insisting that he's been in love with me for the past 2 years. I have a family, so I refused, but he just wouldn't take no for an answer. Want to see the text proof? I'm the victim here who was dragged into this affair against my will. Dylan, with a face contorted in despair, looked up to see Kate looking down at him smugly. The mother clapped her hands loudly.
You say you're the victim? Emily is the real victim here. You're the one at fault.
Kate shrugged her shoulders. Under the intimidating presence of the parents, Dylan became more defiant, his displeasure evident.
It's so unfair, Emily. You called your parents here to lecture me? Ganging up on me with allies on your side, that's so low of you. You're such a cowardly woman who can't do anything on her own.
His anger directed at me even before any sign of remorse. How much does he look down on me?
It's not unfair. I didn't just call my parents.
I flung the room door open. There stood Dylan's parents, looking quite uncomfortable.
Mom!
Dylan recoiled as if he'd been shot. He had never shown his true self even to his own parents. They adored him as their perfect, accomplished son. I didn't expect them to be on my side, but I called them to show them the truth. Even if I told them, nobody would believe that Dylan uses terrible language at home. So, I wanted them to see it with their own eyes. Having played the part of the perfect son for so long, the harsh looks from his parents seemed to hurt Dylan the most. He held back his tears. Standing wrapped in just a towel, looking utterly pitiful. I feel bad for Dylan. His mother whispered. It's not right to gang up on him like this. Maybe he was a bit too hard on Emily sometimes. But working outside, of course he's stressed, so it can't be helped. Let him vent a little at home. Dylan looked up, his face wet with tears. His mother ran to his side, holding his hand tightly. The affair was just a momentary lapse. No, I can see how it's Emily's fault too. Inviting us to witness the affair was a nasty move. Poor thing, he must have gotten sick of his home life. His father nodded in agreement. That's right. What's with this treatment over a simple affair? Yes. People have always said that affairs are a mark of a man's prowess. What's the big deal? Do you find it fun to crush a man's pride like this? Yes. Every man has an affair or two. Heck, I've always had a woman or two on the side. Yes, wait, what? His wife, who had been nodding along, suddenly looked alarmed. You've been cheating too? The scene quickly shifted to the parents-in-law having a heated argument. While she defended Dylan earlier, the moment she found out she was being cheated on, she lost her cool. I wished they would just leave, as they weren't helping, but instead were making things worse. His father looked at me with pleading eyes, but I wasn't about to help him. Dylan, now with no one on his side and exposed for who he truly is, was lost. Kate, who had kept quiet, seized the opportunity to escape from my house. But at her home were her husband, child, and Ariel. Of course, I had informed her husband about the affair. I had left Ariel with him to shield the child from witnessing any shocking scenes. Yet Kate, dressed only in a towel, rushed into their home, causing even more chaos. Mama, you are disgusting. Emily's child, who should have known nothing, senses the atmosphere and strongly rejects. Dylan and Kate both lost their family's trust because of their selfish affair. That day, Ariel and I took refuge at our parents' house. I thought we were headed for a divorce, but a few days later, Dylan came begging for forgiveness.
I'm so sorry. For what exactly are you sorry? For the affair I had. I really messed up. When I thought I might lose you, Emily, I suddenly realized how important you are to me.
I turned to face my parents. The three of us exchanged smiles. It's hard to tell if you're lying or not. You've always been all talk, just a smooth talker. Dylan bit his lip and pleaded.
I'm not lying.
But it sure sounds like a lie to me.
Please believe me.
Dylan, with a serious look, even went as far as kneeling. Why he's so desperate to reconcile is clearly for his own benefit.
If I divorce you, it'll admit the rumors are true, huh?
Dylan went pale. Turns out, Dylan and Kate's shameful acts had been exposed to the public. Our balcony has gaps in the railing, making everything visible from outside. Instead of laying low, it seems Dylan and Kate had a loud argument on the balcony. Thanks to that spectacle, there were many witnesses. Some of them even worked at the same company.
What? You're saying Kate and I were causing a scene on the balcony without our clothes? That can't be right. It must have been a misunderstanding. Not to brag, but we're a happy couple. Still head over heels in love.
That's how he's been brushing it off at work. So, he's desperate to avoid a divorce. It's frustrating how Dylan thinks only about himself.
You get caught in an embarrassing situation and you still play the good guy? Don't you think everyone has caught on to your happy couple act by now?
Well, In fact, I've been getting tons of messages from former colleagues. On the surface, they seem concerned about me, but what they really want to know is if the rumors are true. I've been replying humbly.
I'm sorry, I can't really say.
This answer seems to satisfy everyone.
Emily, I'm begging you. I've learned my lesson from this. I'm never gonna cheat again. I promise. Please give me another chance.
No way.
Emily. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I won't cheat again, please forgive me.
Dylan repeatedly bows deeply, his forehead touching the floor.
You think just apologizing for the affair will make everything right? Your sins aren't limited to the affair. You've made a mockery of me for years. Why would I come back to someone like that? I'm sorry. I won't say cruel things anymore. That's probably a lie too, isn't it?
Dylan's every move seems like a mere performance. It's only natural not to trust a liar. Eventually, I managed to finalize the divorce from Dylan. He was reluctant to pay alimony and child support for Ariel, but when I told him I'd ask his employer to deduct it from his paycheck, he paid up right away. But Dylan is still pretending to be happily married, bringing to work fake homemade lunches that are just store-bought meals repackaged. His shirts are wrinkled, and his suits reportedly have a slight odor. It's so pitiful that no one really confronts him about it. He'd probably have been better off going back to his parents' house, but it turns out his parents were also in a big dispute and got divorced. My father-in-law was furious, saying,
"It's all because of Dylan that she got divorced."
My mother-in-law has cut ties with Dylan, exclaiming, "Such a deceitful duo.
It makes my skin crawl."
Kate apologized to her husband and expressed her wish to move out. However, he simply told her,
"Just leave on your own,"
essentially asking for a divorce. Of course, the children aren't coming with her. Word is, she ditched her job even at her age. Unable to bear the whispers and rumors, she vanished without even handing in a resignation letter. Even her family doesn't know where she is now. On the other hand, I'm still staying with my parents. I was on edge, thinking I needed to find a job and place to live ASAP to be independent. However, my mom comforted me saying, "You don't need to hesitate even with your parents. You can stay here forever if you want to."
I'm sorry we didn't believe what you said from the beginning, Emily.
My parents apologized deeply.
It was wrong of us to only believe in Dylan's facade and not listen to your words, Emily. Regardless of how unbelievable it sounds, parents should always believe and listen to their child.
Everyone makes mistakes. If only I had been stronger, maybe I could have stood up to Dylan and built a peaceful family.
Mom has always been on my side, hasn't she?
Ariel, who was by my side, snuggled up to me. I know I can't be perfect, but I want to be a mother who can protect Ariel's precious smile.
Are you hungry, Ariel and Emily? What do you want to have for dinner?
Meatloaf. Both Ariel and I answered in unison to my mother's question. A lively and fun new life begins.